Scientology, right? So when we started to become instrumental in movies and music in the Hollywood, then the Nation of Islam's FOI have to come in because they're the only ones who know how to defend us from this enemy.
Aren't
They
they
were trained.
Scientology too?
The
Aren't they?
what?
Haven't they joined Scientology as well?
Well, that's a military strategy.
Okay.
So you got the people that's protecting the Europeans in Hollywood, Scientologists, bump into these dudes that's protecting us in Hollywood called FOI. They both performing the same function for two different groups against the same enemy. The art of war say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So it's only natural that they have to end up creating some kind of alliance because they still fighting the dirty Moors. That's why L. Ron Hubbard moved onto a boat so he wouldn't be under their jurisdiction on the land because they flipped the land jurisdiction to the water. They don't have any jurisdiction on the land. They flipped the water jurisdiction on the land. That's called admiralty law. The admiralty and maritime law is codified and controlled by the Uniform Commercial Code. The Uniform Commercial Code is what they call the International Law of Nations. The International Law of Nations governs international corporate jurisdictional law. So when you become a national, you become a straw man in your nation. As a straw man, you are a dead entity, a legal fiction. You don't really exist. So therefore, whatever they do to you is only a fiction and they can't suffer a consequence. It's not true. They doing this to you because you allowing them to do it to you because you don't know what they doing. That's an adhesion contract that they have you under that you don't know you signing. When they say nationality is the order of the day, it expired July the 4th, 2019. Because using the nationality system under Noble Drew Ali's original format, you was able to navigate and live your life without ever being affected by these people being on the land. But when we start fighting to be part of their system, we abandon our system. We abandon Elijah Muhammad. We abandon Noble Drew Ali. We abandon Marcus Garvey. We abandon Booker T. Washington. We abandon W.E.B. Du Bois. How are we going to get out of this condition? Right? So what we end up doing was all of the chiefs just put their part in the public domain until one of us can figure out how to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together so that we can exile the imposters. In New Jersey, they are known as the Moorish Zionist Jews. And they are called blackamoors by the Moorish title. They look like us, but they not us. If you look up the picture of Noble Drew Ali in Chicago in front of the temple, then you look up the picture of them in front of their temple, they are mimicking, but they're giving signs in the pictures. But nobody knows how to read the signs because everybody is caught in the dogma that they can't get to the science part. This is why C. Freeman Eels information is critical to the understanding of more science because he teach you how to read the symbols. And you go back to the Q drop and it said, what's going to be they undoing? The symbols. The symbols is going to expose them. Right? Which takes us to the flag. Well, the flag that they flying in the Moorish Science Temple today with the 5-point star has been a Moorish Science Temple flag longer than it's been a Moroccan state flag. Make that shit make sense. They copying Moorish science and Noble Drew Ali in order to perpetuate their dogmatic pursuits and oppression. We not buying it. We done with it, and it don't work no more. So the women's consulate of Moors have been keeping the secret among themselves as to how Noble Drew Ali got infiltrated. Because don't nobody want to tell the story about the muftis. The muftis that gave him up to Rome, as they call it. Of course they did. They was fucking Romans. They was Etruscan Moors. Before they was called Moors, When they went into Europe after they got kicked out of Africa, they was called Etruscans. When they invaded from in the Iberian Peninsula of Europe, when they came in from the southeast, they came in as the Byzantine kings of the Ottoman Empire. This is where we get the term Els, Bays, and Days in the Moorish Science Temple, because you tagging the motherfuckers doing the dirt. Right? So now we get to George Washington and the 200-year challenge in order to develop a ceasefire. The ceasefire was a settlement that was written up as the Paris Accord. We know it today as the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. It wasn't even signed on this land, so therefore any enforcement on this land is in a direct contradiction to the law of the land, which goes back to the native woman who put the Pope on notice, and she had to tell him that the chiefs are now active on the land and that these motherfuckers is running out of time. They got to go, right? And all of the time they've been telling us that white supremacy was about your skin color. It was about being a free white person in law. When you look it up in Black Law Dictionary under free white person in law, clear as day it say Moors. Clear as day. So the whole thing was a chess game between adepts. The ones who were here were on defense, so they take up the banner or the moniker of black.
Question. So what do you think of us? Because we call ourselves American Indians.
Indian is not our term. It's the same as the Moor. They thrusting names on us, like I explained to the sister about Seminole. When we say they talking about Seminole Wars, they telling it from the Europeans' perspective, from the conquistadors, the French and the English that we fought. But when you say Gullah Wars, you telling it from our people's history, perspective, and angle, and we don't tell the same story exactly the same. Their story is that we was runaway slaves and we congregated with the natives and made the strong fighting force in Florida. Our position in the Gullah Wars is we ain't slaves, we ain't finna be your slave, and we'll fight your motherfucking ass until the end of the earth. So this is the difference in how the stories is being told between our elders and the people that came. The people that came want to hold on to the narrative and make us assume the position as a national free white person in law, because that's the big eye concept of the Etruscan doctrine.
Okay.
We don't believe in that.
So, but we go by nations. So does it still say we're not who we are when we say that we Blackfoot, Wissaponie, Catawba, Choctaw?
When you use those tribal designations like that, Choctaw, the Dungdamounja, Washita, Cherokee. Cherokee is also a term that they trust us.
Kitawa.
Right? It's not the original name. The name Cherokee was specifically created dollars. It's at least $1 trillion hole going to be in the global economy.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's a big hole. It's going to cause banks to start folding up. I was listening to Charlie Ward the other day. He was saying that his wife couldn't even get money out the bank because the banks are no longer liquid. There's no fluidity in the currency. That means they don't have cash or money to give you on reserve. Their reserves is depleted. So we're looking at all of this is cumulative, right? So all of that from him calling in the money to like 10, 12 days later, they announced the Queen Elizabeth is dead, and all of these things is like, cause she been gone, right? Though they just now announced it on I think it was the 9th, right? So the effect is when the Vatican get done calling in all of their assets, none of the global economies is going to be able to stand, because the Vatican is who issued letters patent to charter each one of these legal fictions that we call governments.
Right.
They are the holders or the deed or the title to all of those. And that's the money they calling in.
Isn't that the same thing as saying like the Vatican pretty much control world governments?
They do. It's a collaboration, right? The collaboration is 3 city-states. It's always been 3 city-states. They just moved 2 of the cities, well, really 1 of the cities from the military strength. So now the 3 city-states is the Vatican City, London, and DC. Now DC is closed, right? So if you go to the maps, Google Maps, or go to your map on iPhone and put in White House 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, it's going to tell you that it's permanently closed, right?
Okay.
That all of that's because this shit is over with. We right now trying to get the grassroots aware of what the elites are doing, so they not caught so off guard. And then you have idiots that think we crazy because we telling them what to look for and what we seeing.
So, with that being said, what is it? First of all, can you explain a little more in depth as far as like the specifics of how we're actually going to be affected by all this?
We can't say that because this has never happened before. There's no frame of reference. There's no frame of reference to say what it's going to look like. You can just only identify the building falling. You can't identify the crash site after the math, in the aftermath of the falling building. This is over with right now. We definitely going to have an economic drought for at least 60 days. People are going to be, a lot of the energy companies, like people scared to stop paying their bills because they don't want to interrupt their electric and their gas. It's coming. Your lights gonna get turned off. Your gas gonna get turned off. Maybe even your water gonna get turned off. If you don't know how to survive off the fat of the land, you might not make it through them 60 days. It's gonna be a lot of elderly people that's gonna be put to rest because they own oxygen machines, ventilators, and all that shit. They don't know electricity. If they at home, you need a backup generator. If you don't got one, you ain't gonna make it.
Right, because my mother is on oxygen. Actually, the house that I stay in now, my mother actually left it to me and moved back up north to Maryland with my sister because, pretty much with her health, my sister is a nurse. She can better care for her. But yeah, my mother's on oxygen. So in other words, you're saying that we really don't know what to expect and how detrimental that this banking catastrophe can actually have an effect on us.
No, there's no frame of reference. It's gonna get bad, but it's only gonna be bad for a limited amount of time.
And why is that? Because
all of their systems is collapsing.
Right,
the government is the government that they run in the pantomime show, as Charlie Ward called it. It's just a stage show. They got like 14 Joe Bidens. I can't even count all of the motherfuckers I didn't see.
Bro said you can't even count all these motherfuckers. Okay,
right.
So should we keep our money in the banks? Should we take?
If I was you, I already took mine out. I would convert as much of my money into what they call precious metals as possible.
Like we were speaking about the other night, gold and silver.
Right, because the new economy is going to be predicated upon a substance-backed utility. It's not going to be a fiat.
Which is what we're in now. Funny money.
Right.
Basically, funny money.
Yeah, monopoly money.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, a person that has $250,000 in the bank. What you suggest is that they go get $250,000 worth of gold.
Gold and silver, yeah.
Or silver. And is this going to be a means that we'll be able to still trade with the stores or companies that can remain open if there's a such thing as, because it almost seems like everybody's going down, even the companies. So there'll be no bartering and trading. You just have to sort of hold it until everything goes back to normal.
Well, what they consider normal ain't finna come back. But we're going to have a new normal. The new normal is going to be more prosperous than the old normal. But in order to get to that, we gonna have to go. You can't have a baby without labor.
Right.
Right? It's just not gonna happen. This new world that's coming up is not gonna appear until the old world is destroyed. It's just like we already lived yesterday. We can't go back and relive that motherfucker. We done with it. We moving into the future.
Basically.
And the closest thing you can do to reliving yesterday is mirror it in the future. That's it. That's the closest you can get.
So, a lot of people are afraid of all of this that's coming because I think that they're not really cognizant as to the effects. And like you said, there's really no rhyme and reason or no script or nothing that we can actually measure it to. From your personal perspective, what would you suggest people do living wise? Because I mean, people can't live.
You froze.
Without electricity. People either.
Look, they gonna have to figure it out. You're gonna have to learn how to live off the fat of the land because they're not paying people like me any attention. They writing us off as crazy until they caught in the condition, in the position that they can't defend themselves. They gonna be at the mercy of nature.
You sure know what to say because it's like the more you try to prep them in advance, again they start saying that we crazy is wrong with us. But as soon as they get their ass in the actual problem, then now they running and looking for us for help.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be able to be reached because while that shit going on, listen,
I ain't gonna be able to be reached.
Look, while that shit going on, I'm gonna be taking my hiatus. I'm gonna be gone for 6 months. Right? I'm gonna be. I already don't like doing social media. I never liked social media ever. The only reason I'm on here is because it gives me the furthest reach to the grassroots. And they have to be made. The information got to be made available to them. They don't got to believe me. All they got to do is just keep ignoring me and just watch. I'm gonna be straight, but if some of them ain't gonna make it, like I told you, they turning off the lights. That's the signal, right? They shutting down the electric grid. The excuse they're gonna use is a solar flare, but it's really gonna be them turning that shit off in real time. They trying to turn it off before the solar flare hit. The one that they looking for ain't hit yet. If they don't turn it off, it's going to fry all of the systems, and then it's going to be months before they get infrastructure in the electromagnetic grid back up.
So can you explain the flares for the people that really don't know what that is and how it affects?
Right. So the sun have explosions on it. These explosions release massive amounts of electromagnetic energy, UVAs, UVBs into the earth. And when it get here, it has an effect on your melanin. It has an effect on your central nervous system, but it also affects our electrical system of the planet.
That's correct.
So when the system, the way it's set up now, if they don't turn it off when the major flare that they waiting on, they gonna have 6 minutes to shut it off from the time they find out that massive explosion occurred on the sun before them rays hit the earth. They're gonna have about 6 to 9 minutes. Once that happens, they just gonna shut it off. They're not gonna ask nobody for permission. And they have to do it because if they don't, it's gonna overburden the wiring and fry wires everywhere. They're not going to be able to reboot the system. But they're not going to know until that explosion happens because it's been happening in smaller, small explosions. This shit is natural with the sun. What's not going to be natural is them shutting the electric off. That's going to be man-made.
Right.
Now, in the process, they was the Bush Clan, the garden plot to eliminate us was to use EMP and fry the system so we can't turn it off and preserve it. It has to be turned off, but they're not going to even be able to tell you in time enough for you to make any contingency when that flare comes. You know, they already turned off the Schumann resonance recorder about a week ago. The reason they did that is because that's telling you that the constant increase in the vibration, the grid is about to flip. When the electromagnetic grid flip, it's going to be time to that explosion on the sun. They know it's going to happen. It happened before. It happened in a similar manner every so often. And they can time it based off the position of the stars.
Right.
Because they all work hand in hand. So where the earth is in relation to the sun, where the sun is in relation to Orion, Sirius, Pleiades, and Arcturus, tells them when it's coming. They can use the star map and time it damn near to the minute. They can't get it to the second, but they can get it to the minute. They know, they just not telling us.
Right. So, in other words, basically people are going to actually be under certain types of conditions based on them not knowing, and basically listening to the brothers and sisters that's out here disseminating this information to put them in the know. And it's going to cause them to be pretty much on some last minute preparation shit. Like, y'all could have had all this time to prepare if y'all would have listened, but now it's too late pretty much.
This is why everybody keeps saying the purge is coming. You imagine when all these people, they go raid the grocery stores, that's coming. When they realize that everything is down and they don't know when it's coming back up, they just gonna panic. And in the panic, the first thing they're gonna do is raid the grocery stores.
Right.
When you see the people raiding the grocery stores, you already know right then that the shit, because it's not gonna be on no TV or news. It's not going to be on the radio. All that shit going to be turned off.
Right.
And that's what's going to make people panic, because they're not going to have any information source to tell them, what the fuck is this going on? So they're not.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so they're not going to be ready. And we all know proper preparation prevents poor performance, and all of them is improperly prepared to perform properly. Right? So they creating the condition that they're going to see when this shit happen by their level of understanding of the condition as a whole.
Wow. So that's going to be big. Time wise, how long do you think that it's going to be before all of this stuff comes to a full head?
It could be any minute. Truthfully speaking, it's imminent. And imminent means that it can happen at any minute without nobody knowing. But they gave us a couple of signs. The Queen Elizabeth burial or funeral is Monday.
Okay.
Right? Look at the number on that date. Okay. Then the Pope gave them to the end of September because the fiscal year ends in October. So they had to the end of September to get everything in before the end of the fiscal year. The fiscal year is when you calculate, or the closing of the fiscal year is when you add up all of your wealth before you do anything with it. It's a corporate practice.
Right.
Right. So the annual year may end in December, but the fiscal year ends in October.
Okay.
Right. So the Pope has to have everything in enough time for it to be counted for the fiscal year. Right. The fiscal year's closing, they've been working per diem in the United States. Right. The country has been artificially floating per diem, I mean by the day, based on the contracts people been under. Now we at critical mass. It's enough people that left their jobs, took their children out of this motherfucking slave trading system they call a school. And now everything is starting to come to a head. Because the Elizabeth's been dead since like 2018.
And you know the day that she died because the crest fell off the gates of Buckingham Palace. That wasn't an accident, that was a sign. If you look at Prince Charles, King Charles, whatever the fuck he want to call himself tomorrow, but if you look at him at the funeral, how disheveled he looked, that's the cow toe ritual of Sandy Lodge.
Okay.
Right? His tie is the cable tie, the cow tie. And then he got his dish shot. Only thing he didn't do is have his pants leg up. That's it.
So what was the point of delaying putting people in the know that Queen Elizabeth had died?
Wait a minute, ask that question again.
What was the point of delaying putting out the information that the Queen Elizabeth had died?
Because it's critical things that follow that. First of all, it's a signal for a power change. Chess. What happened to me and you playing chess and I take your queen?
Shit, I'm vulnerable.
Vulnerable, and the odds is you're not going to win that game.
Right.
It's almost over. Well, the queen in real life is the king on the chessboard. Well, what happened when I take your king on the chessboard?
I still have a chance with my queen because I can move all over the board.
Right, but when I take your king, what's the
Oh, when you take my king, that's checkmate.
Checkmate. That's what it means. Checkmate. And the checkmate, now they have to close the game. If you in Vegas and you at the crap table, when you hear the owner of the or the manager of the casino say, everybody that's cashing out, report to the cash out center, all games are closed. What would that mean economically for that casino? That mean they finna count up their money.
Right.
Pay who they gonna pay, close up shop. Casinos run 24 hours. So if the casinos is running 24 hours and the guy that's running the casino say cash out, well, you want to hold on to your poker chips or you want to cash them in? Because once they cashed in, or if you don't cash them in the allotted time, you won't be able to cash them in.
Right.
Right. So this is what we're looking at. The game is over.
So have they already appointed who's going to take her position?
It's not announced, but none of them. It's our time to shine. Now, this is our world. The new world is ours.
Oh, yeah. So
the white man world over with.
You said, say that again?
The white man's world is over with.
So I was speaking with Brother Love about, you know, the alchemy of the letters and the language. I'm the language teacher for everybody, pretty much. And Brother Love is my mentor. So he kind of sort of, you know, try to guide me right as far as like, you know, how to actually, you know, presentation basically. So my question is, what does us learning our language have to do, if it does any, with us actually being in the new world and projecting ourselves in the new world to thrive in that new world?
Okay, so in the new world, everything is frequency. It's vibration and frequency. The linguistics is directly tied to the vibration and frequency of the electromagnetic grid. Nuwapic was designed for a specific reason. Dr. York could tell us why he put it out. I think it's in the introduction text to the language of why he came out with the Nuwapic. Because we finished all of the organic people to the so-called Americas is going to be enrolled in Nuwapic. So you one of the ones who's going to have to be the teacher of teachers in order to raise the vibration. It's about tones and sounds.
Okay. So you say the new world is about frequency. And will Nuwapic be a language in your mind that will replace the law of vibrational frequencies that are being put out there?
Absolutely. We're gonna be going to Nuwapic class for all of the organics. Anybody that want to learn Nuwapic is going to be welcome to learn it, because English is going to be in the future what Latin is now.
Right.
Right. So the only place you find Latin is in legalese, in medical reads.
Or if you're doing some old recitation of some Christian.
Was listening to Chief Warhorse, she break that shit all the way down. You just don't know who is who in the picture until we point them out to you, because we didn't know they brought motherfuckers to masquerade as us over here to pretend to be us, right? You know the ones that took sides with us because they tell you that we the original motherfuckers that was on the land and they riding with us. And then the other ones that say stuff like, I wish these black people stopped telling everybody they Indians. Them the motherfuckers that's the enemy. They tell you flat out. So you only got two group of these $5 motherfuckers, right? So these $5 motherfuckers come over here. They can sit their ass down because Big Rod gonna make change out that ass, right? And we gonna change that $5 ass to a 5-cent motherfucker, right? So when they came over here, they brought, you got to go back to who the Etruscan Moors was fighting as Romans. The Roman wars was with Huns, Mongols, and Vedics. They went into India and got the scroll of government, or the scroll of caste. The caste sutra is what it's called. And it's the scroll of government. The definitive ruler of the earth carries the scroll of government. And there's several parts of it, and the collection of the scrolls together is called the scrolls of destiny. If you can secure the scroll of government until the close of the age, you hold the government. This is how these motherfuckers get 6,000 years to rule, right? But it took them a sizable portion to find the scroll. They found the scroll with Alexander. Go look at the story of the birth of Alexander, and they talk about he was born from God. That's Enlil's son. I'm telling you, motherfuckers, the story ain't no secret. As Enlil's son was Alexander, the so-called great. I call him the great because that motherfucker wasn't nothing but a motherfucking fodder for wine with his homeotestical self, right? He probably sucked more penis than a prostitute on 47th Street during the crack era, you know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And these motherfuckers can't trick you when you know who you is, because they don't vibrate on your frequency. Then they tell on themselves, right? The shit you say out your mouth is called the truth. Irritates their spinal column to the point where they have to act out. They gotta say something. They can't just mind their goddamn business, sit their bitch asses down and get somewhere and be quiet until the storm blow over. They gotta say something because the truth is irritating to their soul. The very fact that they over here under the false pretense of usurpation, Jacobin, underminers, supplanters, them motherfuckers came over here to replace us, and I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that shit at all, right? Yeah, well, all those bills is going up to keep you perpetually in poverty. Y'all don't understand the game, so y'all keep being victimized by it. The only thing we gonna do as a collective is shut this bitch down. And the only way to shut it down is don't nobody go to work Tuesday. But that's few and far between, because unless everybody is understanding what's taking place on a metaphysical level, it's probably almost next to impossible. It's almost next to impossible to get people to understand what's taking place if they don't understand any of the metaphysics involved. And it's basically is you either part of the solution or you part of the problem. And you know you part of the problem when everything you do benefit the system more than it benefits you. That means that you supporting that they bullshit. Look, they got whole countries stop paying their light bills. I think it was one of those countries in Europe. It was like 20,000 people or some shit like that. Like, fuck a light bill. And they didn't turn their shit off because it was too many of them. No, Noah was Udnapishtim, and it wasn't the world that flooded under Noah. But that's a whole nother story. I don't want to get into that because I'd take up too much time.
Yep. Let me see if I can pin that comment. Pin that for a minute. Y'all hear the guy talking? All of the baptisms is monetized because they have to dip you into the sea. Because remember, they said that we are stranded at sea. A baptism means that they pulled you from the ocean, from the waters, right? It's symbolic. To pull you from the water, meaning to rescue you from sea, and then they render you a straw man certification. Your straw man has been captured by the naval ship called the Admiralty Jurisdiction of the United States Corporate Fiction. That's what the baptism is about. We didn't baptize with water, we baptize in oil. That's why it's called anointing, right? The anointing of the Christ, which is the oil. It's the oil on the forehead, the olive oil, the gator oil, the crocodile oil, right? It's that golden oil that's a similar, or I would say it's a facsimile of the sacred secretion that rises up your spine when both of your left and right hemisphere, your brain pumping. Yeah, it's got to be enough though. If the problem is that too many people scared to step away from the system and what it entails. You gonna have first they got an opportunity to step away from the system on their own. When enough people would receive the information to divorce themselves from the system, then you have enough people now where anybody who don't get it at that point, they gonna catch it the hard way because they not gonna be prepared because they just gonna start shutting shit off. Now remember, they got a lot of motherfucking water crises, flood crises. All these are activating FEMA in real time. FEMA is a continuity of government. Watch what they doing because they rolling the continuity of government out one natural disaster at a time. One natural disaster at a time. FEMA get control of one little area at a time until the big disaster hit, which is going to put us in what we call a national crisis, and FEMA is going to have to take charge. That means either all of the lights go off across the land or from an EMP or some bullshit like that. And then what's that called? Oh, so once all of these natural disasters start hitting, they're gonna have hurricanes gonna be hitting any time now. We going into the season where hurricane season. And hurricane season, pay attention to the names of the hurricanes and the tropical storm. Research and investigate what the name means. When you find that the name is the same name as one of the elders that was giving us information, like when I was identifying Cyclone Marcus in Australia, right? And I remember Garvey said, look for me in the whirlwind, right? So when it hit, I'm reading the vitals of the cyclone, and it keep hitting on the number 7 here, 7 over there, 7 here, 7 this, 7 that. So it's directly talking to me from Garvey. So while I'm sitting here watching this play out, I'm listening to a qualified apology request from Ghana. What that means is if we did anything wrong, tell us what we did wrong and we'll make amends for it. So when he offered the qualified apology, we the ones have to qualify the apology because they said we came from over there. How do we qualify it? We find out who they is versus who we is, right? We can't qualify that apology. That means we can't accept Ghana's apology because they done nothing wrong to us. It was these other bastards over here masquerading as conquistadors. They running around claiming to be us, acting like they us, and they the motherfuckers that's holding the power in secret. They the ones did the dirt. They the ones put us, overtook Big Mama house and called it the Big House. They don't want Big Mama getting no credit for shit.
Well, fuck you motherfuckers. I'm gonna give Big Mama all the credit she can deserve. This her shit and her daughter's shit, and them my sisters, and that's my Big Mama, and my mama is one of her daughters. So all you rotten motherfuckers can give it up. Mama said don't let nobody take nothing from your brothers and your sisters. Well, I'm here to get all back. I'm back for every fucking thing they owe, no longer oppressed. We didn't overthrow those, just put us in this rotten mess. Now you can ask Pac and he can agree and can. We can pick sides and then against our enemies ride. Yep, Zionist Jews came in as conquistadors, challenged us to a conjure war, fezzes against feathers. All of the fezzes is in the motherfucking Washington Memorial of the motherfuckers that's the masters that going in the war. They there. All you gotta do is I batch the motherfucking feds up to the dirty motherfucker and you know exactly who you was warring against to the individual. Them is Enlil kids. They thought they were smarter than us. So we go back to where Enlil came in and showed them the dirt from the beginning. It's the dirt from the beginning. Right? They settled the Turkish land and called themselves Ottomans. And they got kicked out of Africa and settled in Europe as the Etruscans, and they became the founding fathers of the motherfucking Roman Empire once they infiltrated Greece. So you got to know what they did. If you don't know what they did, you can't undo this shit. They told me it was like scrambling an egg. Well, nigga, I unscrambled that bitch in real time, and they don't like it. They don't like it, so all they can do is just put me in Facebook jail or block me on Instagram or some shit. Do what you do. I'm still going to keep telling these motherfuckers the same thing. This shit is over. All we waiting to do is see our leadership step out and tell y'all, ride bust them motherfuckers in the Badussi and left them bent over and stupid. They shouldn't have never ran up on a gorilla and they wouldn't have never got their cage rattled. That's all I'm saying. That's nothing personal. It's just family business. So the family told me to redeem the family. So I redeemed them motherfuckers. Fuck these motherfuckers and the horses they rode in on, or the motherfucking Sky Chariot, whatever they want to call it. Sky Chariot or Pegasus or whatever the fuck they want to call it. Because y'all don't know Pegasus was the Sky Chariot's name and they didn't use a real horse. That was just like flying horse was a term like we use horsepower in reference to cars. They call it Pegasus. Pegasus power. The motherfucking Vimanas. Right? Look up the Vimana Sutras. It's about the ships. Look up the Vimanas Wars. It'll tell you how you got in this motherfucking big ass conflict with motherfuckers across the family that don't got nothing to do with you. But I'm gonna be going over it in detail tonight on Young Elder. I'm gonna show you these motherfuckers from when they came, right? It tell you right in the Bible when they came. So we're gonna go over some shit. Yep. Humpty Dumpty. All Humpty Dumpty was motherfucking unmotherfucking harnessed potential. Wasted potential. That's what an egg is. It's pure potential. You don't know if it's going to be a chicken or a rooster till it hatch. But it might not be fertile, so it might never hatch. Every egg ain't the same. Yep. The ship was the Mayflower. And they called the Mayflower's original name was the good ship Plymouth. And they call it the Mayflower because the Mayflower is the sunflower, which is the symbol for the sun, which is one of Enlil's logos. Yeah, and them preachers are scared. Most of them is under the threat of death if they tell you. So they look like us, but they ain't us. How could you deceive a motherfucker if he don't look like you into thinking that you ain't you? Right? You gotta be a motherfucker look like you, want you to think you came from Africa and all the time you was already here. We've been here so long, we had to build a place called here in order for it to exist. I'm telling you, we the spirits of the earth spirits. Right? And the spirits of the earth spirits is called the Neteru. And the Neteru translate out of motherfucking ancient hieroglyphics into modern English as the gods. But we don't see the God concept in the same way that the rest of the world has been taught the God anthropomorphic concept. Right? So a lot of them preachers are scared to tell it, but the ones who tell it, their congregation gets scared and run off. So now he can either, give it to him a piece of meal and hope they can put it together to keep him there long enough to get as much as he can, or it won't work. They gonna all run off. The most terrifying thing you can tell a motherfucker is the truth. A motherfucker will accept anything as long as you don't tell them the truth. They take all of your sweet little lies over your motherfucking bitter ass truth. And that's why motherfuckers be coming in my head, because the truth is annoying to motherfuckers that's abhorrent to the truth. Right? It's contagion and aberration. These motherfuckers know what's up. Yep. So since I'm back on here, I'm gonna be back more live on here like I used to be, since they done let me out of jail. I guess I'm out on bond because they never gave me no notification I was in jail. They didn't give me no notification I was out of jail. And now I guess I must be out on bond. Somebody must have bailed me out and I don't know it yet. But y'all, I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to keep on knocking till these motherfuckers kick the doors down. And let the GDs in the door. All right. Peace out, fam. And so this is what we do. I look at all of the conflicts in history, and I noticed that there's a lot of different causes for conflict, but there's a better cause for peace. You see, you gotta have two sides to fight a war, because when the people are used as the weapons, you take the weapons out of the equation. When the weapons are no longer in the equations of war, then they can't destroy us. They can't crush us. Peace. So as I sit back and I observe, I remember when I was a little boy, we'd be at the basketball court. There's always somebody that want to be unruly, ignorant, foolish, irrational, and hard to work with, right? So when we played basketball, what we would do is we take our ball and go. Take our ball and we would go home. This had a kind of odd effect that I noticed. Be a whole bunch of trash talk, but within short order, if a ball don't show up, everybody go home. They go on their separate ways. You know, you got some stragglers that sit around and stay where they at. Don't want to make no moves. They just want to stay stagnant, but that's fine. They still can't play ball. They can stay at the park on the basketball court, but they can't play ball without a basketball. And those who own the basketball is aware of this. They know this. But if the person who owned the basketball is unaware that he can take his ball and go home, and it would cripple the whole game. He don't have to tear nothing up. He don't have to fight nobody on the court. He don't have to fight the bully. He don't have to slap the little guy. All he had to do is just say, hey, man, get my ball. I'm going home. And he go home. Everybody going to be looking at him crazy. But guess what? Everybody end up going home if no other balls come. Now, expand that on a massive scale, like globally, right? Let's just say that America, no, let's say we don't even use country we in. We want to use two countries that don't got nothing to do with us directly. So let's say we take Brazil wants to attack India, and none of the soldiers are willing to fight in that war. None of them. Not a single one, from the generals to the foot soldiers. How the heck can we die? How can you wage a war when the tools of the war are inoperable? They don't work. You can't. It's impossible. Take your ball and go the fuck home. That's
But you would have to have a call for a specific type of unity across various borders. You would have to have a call for unity that would embrace so many people that when people take their ball and go home, everybody go home. They already know what it's about. They already know what it's about. It's about the march to peace. And the march to peace sometimes is a family-oriented event. Go home. Play with your children. Kiss your wife. Hug your mama. Get wisdom from your father. You know? You don't have to always tear things apart, shred stuff. It's a reason for all of this chaos is because we keep allowing it. The easiest way to stop the foolishness and the ignorance, the easiest way, is all of the mothers tell your child, we ain't fighting for these animals. Because they have to be animals to pit us together to fight us like animals. And if they're going to put us together and fight us like animals, they have to use something against us that would allow us to do that. And the greatest tool in the history of the world is divide and conquer. Now, we've been thinking that there's been one nation versus another nation in these wars. That's absolutely not what it is. It's never been in Germany versus France in World War II. That wasn't even the purpose. World War I, it got nothing to do with no Lithuanian ships. You know, it got nothing to do with that. And it's population control by using the very people that you want to quell the population as the implements of war. They know that we like combat because we mastered the martial arts in all ancient cultures because we wanted to learn how to defend our clans from invaders no matter where they may come from. Here we are now, we on Earth. We look around and all we see is conflict, bloodshed, disunity, disharmony, backbiting, backstabbing, resentments, hatred, bigotry, foolishness, and ignorance. All that stuff in one pot, then they stir it up and feed it to us, and we eat it. We don't have to eat it. Every mother should just call her children in the military and just say, come home. We're not fighting for these animals. If we're going to have any type of conflict, we should be fighting in our own interest. Who's gaining? Look at the Wounded Warriors. See, we need to do something like to federalize this Wounded Warrior project. And right, but that's the whole point. It was a trick from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to read this. Many nations that does not look like us came together against us and plotted against each other. Right, but see, that's the trick. Because they used the minority population on the planet. By exalting the minority population, they got the smallest group. So at the time that the people of the mass realized that the smallest group is oppressing the largest group, then we can just annihilate them and get rid of the problem, but that was never the problem to begin with, because then they're going to go to the next smallest group and superiorize them. We can't fall for that. This is the end of them games. So it worked like this. Ain't no more white people that was created in this Babylonian experiment. The genetic mess up has been clean. That's over with. Now everybody have the capabilities of rising to their own level of greatness. Everybody. And because everybody can rise to their own level of greatness, we should all be able to pull this plank out our eye and see the enemy for who he is. If we trace it all back, it end up with one person. And you know, they want to tell us, you know, don't be anti-Semitic and all of this. It ain't Israel as a nation over there in the Middle East, because they pawns. They pawns. The Khazarians, the Ashkenazi, the Sephardi, those are pawns. No, those are not pawns. They're more like rooks and bishops on the chessboard. They bigger pieces, but they're expendable. So you got to track it back. Now, how do you track it back? You follow the dollar. You follow the currency, you find out who reaps the greatest benefit of all. Well, I used to think when I was a lot younger that it was the royal families of Europe. But then I came to, through research, to realize that it's not the royal families of Europe. It traced back to one particular house in one particular place in one particular person. And he wears a crown that represents 3 tiers, which is your economics, your military, and political strength. And also it represents your religious strength. By combining them all together, that's where your spiritual weaving comes in, your spider web. So if the world want to know who's responsible, you got to find out who's claimed right of all of the souls on earth to undermine the rights of the people who own their own soul. Now remember, your U.S. Constitution says, nope, your Declaration of Independence says that you have God-given inalienable rights. That means that nobody can't take them from you, but they can trick you out of them if you surrender them. They can trick you into giving up your rights. But there's somebody on this planet that filed paperwork in 1301 to capture the souls of the people. And it's the same one person that seats all of the royalty and confirms them and gives them the appearance of being the problem. Now, the royal families do have things that's going to be dealt with, like adrenochrome and the drinking of baby blood that's prohibited. And you don't know that Queen Elizabeth is not still alive. She's been dead. That's an imposter that they're using over there, so they don't want nobody to know. She's gone. And Pope Francis makes mockery of every single human on earth. He is the animal. I told y'all at the close of the age, I would pull the curtain off the man who stands behind it, pulling the strings in the land of Oz. His name now is Pope Francis. But it's the same symbiote who jumped body to body for thousands of years so he can survive eternally. And he wants to deprive you of your eternal life by allowing his host to live as comfortable as possible. But he have to have a certain biological signature trait. And this certain biological signature trait allows the symbiote to attach. Now, if you go back, you probably won't see it very far back in history, but when they see the Pope, they tell you there's a meeting of, what you call them, bishops, and that they are all in there voting and negotiating who would be Pope. That's cool. It makes sense, but it ain't true. You see, they got a period of time where they have to go through different blood types and genetic signatures in order that the symbiote can actually cleave to the host. And so they have a series of these hosts that sit there in a stasis-like state while the symbiote attaches through his eye into his brain. And there's a part of the brain that connects the 2 hemispheres, and this little symbiote lodges there. Now, I don't think the world should participate in this rotten, bloody mess anymore. You know what I think they ought to do? I think every head of state need to send me and my thugs over there so I can get that symbiote out of his head. All these kids don't need to keep coming home with arms blowed off, legs blowed off, holes in their body, bullets in their head, plates in their head. That's horrendous. That's atrocious. And it's unnecessary and uncalled for. But nobody wants to trace the issue of divide and conquer back to its source. People should love each other and should try to work together at all costs to overcome this unstoppable evil. But we don't want to do that. because the evil turns us against each other, and it began with the Tower of Babel scenario. The Tower of Babel is there as a reminder of the problem and who caused it. So, when you go through the John Wick series, John Wick is a man in love with a woman that he met that got him out of a horrible lifestyle. And as you walk through the storyline, he ends up in part 3. Now notice there's 3 parts to the John Wick story. And he goes into the desert, and here you have Maitreya. Here you have Maitreya. I told y'all he was the one behind the problem. I posted him in Africa deceiving people on my Facebook page so y'all can see exactly who's responsible for this evil that we are being subjugated by. Also, his pawn or his queen is the Pope. Check that out. His queen is the Pope. Now here's the analysis that you understand what you're dealing with. If you go back in history, you will notice that before 325, there was no such thing as what we call the Catholic Church because Christendom hadn't been established yet. It was established by Pope Constantine. Pope Constantine needed the believers, the faithful, the Almoravides, the defenders of the faith. He needed to capture them, put them in sequestered locations, and under the threat of death, they would have to come up with a common belief system in which they would install the papacy. They did that, but they left us clues along the way, breadcrumbs for us to discover this deception and expose this rotten beast for who he is. Now, the Pope is the queen, the seat that he's sitting in. This was originally called the Noon Priestess. They never changed them. They just call them nuns now. And the Noon Priestess was headed up by a woman who we know her as the Black Madonna. And a lot of people that understand the history of ancient Egypt will call her Isis, the Queen of Heaven and Earth. That's her seat. I'm going to replace her back on her seat if the people want the tyranny of earth to end. Otherwise, I'm just going to go hang out with my peeps in the hood and do hood stuff. We're going to clean up the hood. I would rather clean earth up than to just focus on one local community. I didn't do all this studying for nothing. I couldn't rest in my soul